So I've been receiving a lot of questions based on that video I put up with my experience with Adam Mizner, and more follow-up questions in the Reddit thread, which is really cool because it's a couple of years old by now. So I'd like to make a couple shorter videos touching on some of the common questions that I hear. So hopefully these will be helpful. One of the questions that pops up repeatedly is on striking. There are two general points that people are trying to either make or allude to in their question when they talk about striking with this topic. One is literally, how does it feel if you were to strike somebody like this? How do they deal with it and what happens? Because all that it looks like in these videos is soft touch, and one person looks like they're not trying and the other person just effortlessly sends them away. And the other question, sometimes directly or in a roundabout way, is, well, how would this work in the ring? I roll my eyes at that but I'll get that in a second. When I was there in 2019, that first camp experience, I did get the chance to strike one of their students. I hate to say it, but I can't remember who I was striking. It might have been Stefan. I guess I don't kick and tell. And what it felt like to me was that my strike was being dispersed. It wasn't doing anything. Sort of like you hit something firm but has give to it. So like a softer, heavy bag, but instead of the bag moving and you feel like you have an impact on it, it doesn't feel like it did anything at all. The energy just either gets kicked back into your striking limb, or it just kind of disappears into nothing, and you feel like a child flailing your arm. It feels hopeless. It doesn't have the same impact. If I were to strike one of my karate students, I know how they're going to react. I know what parts are going to tense up. I know how to deliver a lot of power and how to buckle somebody. This makes me sound like a really mean teacher, but I swear I'm not. But in striking these guys, it felt useless. It felt like there was no point. In fact, I'm pretty sure whoever I struck was smiling at me the entire time, which is not the usual response when I'm laying into them with punches and roundhouse kicks. I'm also going to include a short clip from the Marshall Man's channel. Everybody should go check this guy out. He does very, very good work. And he has a two-part interview kind of demo session with Adam Mizner and one of his students, Andy Mack. And it's a very fun watch. But here's a short clip on specifically striking.
Now, don't hold back. Punch with everything you have. You're a trained martial artist. Try to fold him in half. Harder. Wow. So how does it feel?
It's coming back to me.
Yeah.
Let's say they get a hand on you. Let's say you're in a grappling situation, they get you bent forward, and you get a free arm, and you think, why? You never see these people retaliate. You never see them strike back. They got a perfect opportunity for a kick there. They could take out the leg. They could jab here and there. He's not even holding his arm. Why doesn't he just finish the punch? But it honestly feels like, on the receiving end of these things, like there is no ground to stand on. You have no leverage. When I go to strike, say, a pad, and I go to hit with a lot of force, I can pinpoint where I'm pivoting from. What part of my body am I leveraging against? Where's the weight going when I go to strike? And when I actually make impact, what am I bracing against? Is sort of what it feels like to me, how to describe it. So you could throw it with your shoulder, and it's going to hurt, but it's not as effective as it could be. You don't have as much force behind the punch as you could be. And then you can go lower and connect your hip to the punch. Boom. And now you're throwing with a lot more power. Or you can connect all the way down to your foot. And that's the way I've been punching for a long, long time. And it's really, really powerful. And it feels very nice to have your whole body connected to the strike. And it delivers a really devastating blow. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because as soon as these guys would lay hands on me, and I was in that situation where, oh, hey, look, I got a free hand, there's nothing I could leverage against. I felt stuck. Felt like even shifting my weight to be able to then pivot or start my pivot to throw a punch, I would have been, I don't know, there's nothing to do that with. I would have been knocked off balance. The balancing thing, that's a whole nother video. I'll get into that later. So in order to start my pivot to do any of these strikes, it felt like I was going to fall off a ledge in order to try to do that. And I probably would have toppled over had I tried. It's just, it felt like a pointless effort. And the other odd thing is that like I said, there's feels like you're not standing on anything. It sort of feels like you're walking in quicksand. So you go to strike, and I don't have that connectivity to the floor. So I go to press my foot to throw my strike, and there's nothing for my foot to press in. If it's like I'm standing on, well, quicksand or a waterbed. You're trying to throw punches from your foot, but you're standing on a really bubbly waterbed. There's nothing to push from. There's no leverage to be gained. It's wacky. I can try to break that down in another video, but I just wanted to talk about the striking aspect of it. The energy gets dispersed when you hit them. There's something out there there's some way out there receiving it that it doesn't feel like you're having any impact. Then also, you don't have anywhere to strike from if they already have contact on you. So if they have that control over you already, you're stuck. You're locked in. The option of throwing the strike in the first place feels like the worst option in the world. Now, getting into the other question of why don't they do this in the ring, or would this work in the ring? I've always had a really odd relationship with this question. Well before Tai Chi, well before any of this stuff, just in Wei Chi Do. That's my main background in external karate. It's a pretty hard style of striking. There's a lot of grappling. I would have a lot of students that would say like, oh, well, would this work in the ring, or would this... I don't train for the ring. I've never trained for the ring. I got friends that do. I got a lot of friends that do fight professionally. They do train for the ring, and good. That's awesome. I'm going to still train you, but I'm not going to train you for the ring because I don't have experience in the ring. It's a totally weird... I don't do karate to be the best fighter. I do karate to do karate. I don't want to do that. I have no interest. I've had way too many concussions as it is, and I don't have anything to prove. I don't feel the drive to be a better fighter. I have interest in the technical stuff, and in that way I want to be competitive in that way so I can get better at the technical, but not to beat anybody. And it's also really strange that we've somehow tied the ring as being the arbiter of truth in martial arts. It's really strange to me, and it's really sad. The whole question of does it work in the ring, I don't care. Setting that aside and taking the question at, say, face value, if somebody has a genuine question about it, I could imagine if somebody trained this system with the intent of utilizing it in the ring for a competitive purpose, and they use this as the backing for their movements and their power and ability to take strikes, it would be absolutely devastating, because the amount of power that you can generate and the amount of stability that you can get and gain and hold yourself from being things like grappled, it's absolutely intimidating. So I'm going to be looking to do more of these shorter form videos and answering topics and questions as they come up. And I also would like to discuss some things I've been noticing in my own training that I might be able to shed some good perspective on. Some different things I've been noticing that, for example, how this has affected my karate, how it's affected my kobudo, how it's affected my iaido, all of it. What kind of changes have I noticed? I look forward to making another one, and please send more questions, anything you guys got. So, see ya.